Preparing for hard times used to be common sense. Storing extra food, keeping a generator, or learning basic medical care was once considered responsible, a sign of foresight, not fear. But in today's world, the line between preparedness and suspicion has blurred. What was once ordinary self-reliance now triggers quiet concern from the systems that monitor everything we buy, store, and use. The truth is, not every survival item is treated the same. Some purchases mark you as practical. Others quietly flag you as a potential problem. Stocking up on fuel, medical supplies, or night vision gear may seem smart. But to those watching, it paints a very specific picture. Algorithms don't see caution. They see capability. And capability outside the system makes them uneasy. Governments and corporations want citizens ready enough to survive small emergencies, but never so independent that they can function completely off-grid. Too much food storage, too much fuel, too much privacy, and suddenly you're no longer a consumer. You're a variable they can't control. This is the hidden side of modern preparedness. The quiet surveillance, the invisible watch lists, and the subtle pressure to stay dependent. The prepper blacklist isn't official, but it's real enough to shape how preppers live, buy, and prepare. In this breakdown, we'll uncover the 10 items they don't want you buying. Not because they're illegal, but because they make you too self-reliant for comfort. Owning the night. Night vision and thermal optics. The ability to see in the dark has long been a decisive advantage in any tactical situation. For centuries, darkness was the great equalizer, but modern technology has changed the game. Night vision and thermal optics transform the night into day, giving the user an unparalleled edge. This is precisely why these devices top the list of items that authorities would rather you not own. They are not just tools, they represent a significant shift in capability from the state to the individual. High-end tactical equipment like night vision is heavily regulated for a reason. In the United States, many advanced models fall under the International Traffic in Arms Regulations, ITAR, a set of rules designed to control the export of defense and military-related technologies. While purchasing these items domestically is often legal, the transaction doesn't go unnoticed. Sellers are required to keep detailed records of who buys this gear, and these sales can be reported. This means your purchase of a high-performance night vision device could place you on a list, flagging you as someone with capabilities beyond the average citizen. Authorities don't see this as a hobbyist acquiring a new gadget for stargazing or nocturnal wildlife observation. They see it as a civilian gaining a tactical advantage that erodes their monopoly on owning the night. For the prepared individual, the advantages are undeniable. Imagine being able to detect a threat approaching your property in complete darkness, long before they know you are there. Thermal optics can see heat signatures through smoke, fog, foliage, making it nearly impossible for someone to hide. This technology provides incredible situational awareness, allowing for better security, navigation, and reconnaissance in a grid-down scenario. It grants you the power to operate effectively when others are essentially blind. However, this power comes at a cost. Acquiring it means sacrificing a degree of anonymity. You are willingly putting yourself on the radar, trading privacy for a powerful capability. The question every prepper must ask is whether the immense strategic benefit is worth the certainty of being watched. 2. Fueling independence. High-capacity storage. Energy is the lifeblood of modern society. Without it, the systems we rely on grind to a halt. For the prepared individual, securing an independent fuel source is a top priority, but it's also an action that attracts unwanted attention. While keeping a few 5-gallon cans of gasoline in your garage is considered normal, scaling up your storage capacity puts you on a different level. Investing in 55-gallon drums or, even more significantly, a 250-gallon transfer tank sends a clear signal you are preparing to operate independently of the public supply chain. This is a move that government agencies and suppliers notice. Large fuel purchases are not anonymous transactions. Whether you're buying from a local supplier or a commercial distributor, significant orders are often logged. Fire marshals have regulations regarding storage limits for safety reasons, and agencies like the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, monitor bulk purchases of critical resources. Your attempt to build resilience is perceived by authorities as something else entirely, hoarding a strategic asset. They see a large fuel reserve not as a backup for your generator or vehicles, but as a private stockpile that circumvents their control over energy distribution. This automatically elevates your profile from a prudent homeowner to a potential variable in their crisis management plans. The primary benefit of a substantial fuel reserve is obvious: freedom. When a disaster strikes and gas stations run dry within hours, you will still have power, transportation, and the ability to run essential equipment. This capability allows you to maintain a degree of normalcy and security when chaos erupts. However, this independence comes with a significant risk. In a declared state of emergency, governments often grant themselves extraordinary powers. This can include the legal authority to seize critical resources for the greater good. Your carefully stored fuel, which you planned and paid for, can be reappropriated to power official vehicles, run emergency shelters, or support infrastructure. In effect, your personal foresight and investment could become their emergency resupply plan, leaving you exactly where you started: dependent and vulnerable. 3. Medical independence. Advanced supplies. In any crisis, health is wealth. While every sensible person keeps a basic first aid kit for minor cuts and scrapes, the dedicated prepper knows that true readiness requires much more. The moment you move beyond band-aids and antiseptic wipes into the realm of advanced medical supplies, you cross an invisible line. Stockpiling items like prescription antibiotics, surgical kits, IV bags, and bulk trauma gear places you firmly on the blacklist. It signals a level of preparation that the system is designed to discourage, as it represents a move toward medical independence. Modern supply chains are built on data. Your purchases, especially from pharmacies and specialized medical suppliers, are tracked. Sophisticated algorithms are designed to recognize patterns, and buying large quantities of specific medical items raises immediate red flags. An order for a suture kit or a few combat tourniquets might be overlooked. However, repeated or bulk purchases suggest something beyond simple preparedness for a household accident. Authorities may interpret this as preparation for mass casualty events or violent conflict. It paints a picture of someone anticipating a scenario where hospitals are inaccessible or overwhelmed, a reality they would rather the public not consider. The core issue is control. The established healthcare system is built on dependency. You are expected to rely on doctors for prescriptions, pharmacists for medications, and hospitals for emergencies. True medical self-reliance is a direct threat to this model. By acquiring the tools and knowledge to handle serious medical issues on your own, you are essentially opting out of their system of control. This is seen not as responsible planning, but as a challenge to institutional authority. For the prepper, the benefits are life-altering. Having fish antibiotics, sterile instruments, and the means to close a serious wound can be the difference between life and death when a hospital is miles away or no longer operating. In a long-term disaster, the ability to treat infections or manage trauma becomes one of the most valuable skills one can possess. Yet, this capability comes with scrutiny. Your efforts to protect your family could be misconstrued as something sinister, placing you under a microscope. It's a critical trade-off. Do you maintain a low profile, or do you acquire the supplies that could save a life when no one else can? 4 silent signals. Secure communication. Information is power, and in a crisis, the ability to communicate securely can be more valuable than food or water. While standard walkie-talkies or CB radios are common, stepping up to encrypted or secure digital communication devices places you squarely on the prepper blacklist. Items like military-grade surplus radios, certain advanced ham setups, or any device that scrambles your transmissions are viewed with deep suspicion by authorities. The reason is simple: they create a blind spot in the vast surveillance networks that monitor modern life. Your ability to talk without being listened to is a direct challenge to their control over the flow of information. The very purpose of these devices is to remove your communications from centralized monitoring. When you use a standard cell phone or radio, your signal is out in the open, easily intercepted and analyzed. Encrypted communication, however, creates a private network that they cannot easily penetrate. For authorities, this is a significant threat. They fear the formation of private, coordinated groups operating outside of their command structure during an emergency. An unmonitored network could be used to organize, share intelligence, and operate with a degree of freedom that undermines official control. This is why owning such equipment can attract scrutiny. Purchasing military-grade transceivers or even learning advanced encryption techniques for amateur radio can lead to monitoring or questioning. They see it not as a hobby, but as the development of a clandestine capability. For the prepared individual, the benefits are immense. In a scenario where conventional communication grids are down or compromised, a secure radio link allows you to coordinate with your family or mutual assistance group without broadcasting your plans to the world. You can share sensitive information, report threats, and organize movements without fear of interception. This creates a powerful tactical advantage, ensuring your operational security remains intact. But this advantage comes with a trade-off. You are knowingly investing in technology that is flagged as a potential threat. The price of this silent, secure line of communication may be increased attention from those who believe that all information should be transparent, at least to them. The question is whether the ability to communicate in private during a crisis is worth the risk of being seen as a problem before one even begins. 5. Water sovereignty. Large-scale filtration. Clean water is the most fundamental requirement for human survival. While having a personal water filter or a small supply of bottled water is considered prudent, investing in a system capable of purifying hundreds or even thousands of gallons per day is an entirely different matter. This moves you from personal preparation to possessing an infrastructure-level asset, placing you firmly on a list of resources to be managed during a crisis. Large-scale water filtration systems signal a high degree of self-sufficiency, which is precisely why they are viewed with interest by authorities. Your foresight in securing a reliable water source for your family or community is seen as a critical response resource that can be controlled. The issue isn't that owning such a system is illegal, it's about how that asset is categorized in an emergency. Agencies responsible for disaster management maintain inventories of resources, and a high-capacity water purification system is a significant logistical asset. Its existence may be noted through purchase records, permits, or even community knowledge. In a severe crisis where municipal water supplies fail, authorities are tasked with providing water to the public. Your private system, capable of serving many, becomes a tempting and logical target for seizure. Under emergency powers, private property can be commandeered for the public good. Your investment in water sovereignty can be instantly nationalized to meet the needs of the unprepared. For the prepper, the advantage of such a system is monumental. It provides true water independence, insulating you from contamination, supply chain disruptions, and the chaos that will inevitably surround public water distribution points. You can provide for your family, your livestock, and potentially your entire community, making your location a bastion of stability. This capability transforms you from a victim of circumstance into a vital resource. However, that status is a double-edged sword. The very value of your asset makes it a target. The trade-off is stark. You can achieve complete water security, but you must also be prepared to defend your right to use it. When the taps run dry for everyone else, your system becomes a beacon, attracting both those in desperate need and those in power who want to control it. 6. Defensive preparedness. Body armor and gear. In a world of increasing uncertainty, the desire to protect oneself and one's family is a natural instinct. For many, this extends beyond locking doors and owning a firearm to include personal protective equipment. Body armor and other forms of tactical gear are purely defensive items, designed to stop threats, not create them. Yet in the eyes of authorities, these tools are often viewed with suspicion and are rapidly being added to the prepper blacklist. The media and certain political narratives frequently portray defensive gear as offensive or militaristic, associating it with extremism rather than responsible personal safety. This perception is translating into tangible restriction. Several states have already begun to regulate or ban the sale and possession of body armor for civilians. The act of purchasing this gear, especially when combined with other flagged items like firearms or bulk ammunition, can dramatically escalate your perceived risk profile. It triggers a pattern recognition that suggests to authorities you are preparing for a level of conflict far beyond a simple home invasion. They don't see a father or mother wanting to protect their family during a crisis. They see a potential paramilitary actor arming for a confrontation with the state itself. This association, fair or not, can place you under a level of scrutiny that most law-abiding citizens would find uncomfortable. For the prepared individual, the benefits of owning body armor are self-evident. In a dangerous situation, whether it's civil unrest or a breakdown of law and order, a ballistic vest can be the single most important piece of equipment you own. It can turn a potentially lethal encounter into a survivable one. This gear provides a critical layer of security, giving you the confidence to protect your home, evacuate a dangerous area, or navigate a volatile environment. However, this life-saving capability comes with a growing social and legal cost. The trade-off is clear. you can acquire the means to significantly increase your personal defense, but in doing so, you may be labeled as a threat by the very system you no longer fully trust to protect you. 7. Ammunition autonomy. Bulk buys and reloading. A firearm is only as useful as the ammunition you have for it. This simple truth is why stockpiling ammunition and the components to reload it has become a cornerstone of serious preparedness. However, this very act of ensuring you have a lasting supply of ammunition places you on a blacklist. While buying a box or two of cartridges before a range trip is normal, purchasing ammunition by the case or acquiring reloading supplies like primers, powder, and bullets in bulk is an activity that is heavily monitored. These are not anonymous cash transactions. They are digitally tracked data points that contribute to a larger profile of your capabilities. Financial institutions and payment processors have algorithms designed to flag what they deem to be suspicious purchasing patterns. Frequent or high-value buys from ammunition retailers can trigger these systems, potentially leading to a suspicious activity report (ASAR) being filed without your knowledge. This information creates a detailed digital footprint. Authorities see this behavior not as a hobbyist stocking up for a competitive season, but as someone amassing a private arsenal. They interpret it as preparation for sustained conflict, a capability that they prefer to control. Governments also work to restrict stockpiling through other means, such as engineering component shortages, imposing punitive taxes, or creating regulatory hurdles for sellers. Every bulk purchase adds another layer to your digital file, increasing your visibility to those who monitor such transactions. For the prepper, the logic behind these purchases is clear: self-reliant. A substantial ammunition reserve provides the means for defense, hunting, and training over an extended period, without reliance on a fragile supply chain. Reloading takes this a step further, offering true ammunition autonomy. With the right components and skills, you can produce your own ammunition long after commercial supplies have vanished. This is an invaluable capability in a long-term crisis. The trade-off, however, is a loss of privacy. Every transaction is a digital breadcrumb leading back to you, painting a picture of your preparedness level. The ultimate question is whether the tangible security of having ammunition on hand is worth the digital exposure it creates. 8. Eyes in the sky, drones and surveillance. The high ground has always offered a supreme tactical advantage, and in the modern age, that high ground is accessible to anyone with a drone. These small, unmanned aerial vehicles provide unparalleled situational awareness, acting as your personal eyes in the sky. It is this very capability that places them on the prepper blacklist. Authorities and government agencies want to maintain a monopoly on aerial surveillance. The widespread use of civilian drones, especially in a crisis, introduces thousands of independent viewpoints that they cannot control, creating a challenge to their narrative and operational dominance. To manage this, a web of restrictions has been woven around drone use. Requirements for registration, the implementation of remote ID broadcasting your location as a pilot, and the expansion of no-fly zones are all designed to limit what a civilian can do and see. Manufacturers often log flight data, including GPS tracks and video feeds, which can be accessed or subpoenaed by law enforcement. In an emergency, the justification for grounding all unauthorized drone activity is easily made under the guise of public safety or preventing interference with official operation. This effectively neutralizes your asset precisely when you might need it most, ensuring the only eyes in the sky belong to them. For the prepared individual, the benefits of a drone are immense. It allows you to scout terrain, check for threats beyond your immediate line of sight, assess damage to your property after a storm, or find a safe route for evacuation without exposing yourself to danger. A drone can provide real-time intelligence that is critical for making informed decisions when information is scarce. It offers you a perspective that was once reserved for military and law enforcement, leveling the playing field in a localized event. However, this advantage comes with the significant trade-off of digital traceability. Your drone is a flying data collection device, and its connection to you is well documented through registration and flight logs. Using it makes you visible. You gain a powerful truth-telling tool, but at the cost of your anonymity. The question for every prepper is whether the powerful real-time intelligence gained from a drone is worth the digital footprint it leaves behind, and the risk of it being grounded by official decree. 9. Food sovereignty. Seeds and farming gear. The ultimate expression of independence is the ability to feed yourself. In a world dependent on complex, just-in-time supply chains, True food sovereignty is a radical act. This is why acquiring the means to produce your own food on a meaningful scale through bulk non-GMO seeds, large quantities of storable grains, and small-scale farming equipment lands you on the prepper blacklist. While a small vegetable patch is seen as a wholesome hobby, accumulating the resources to operate outside the centralized food system signals a level of autonomy that authorities find unsettling. It represents a direct challenge to their ability to control the most basic human necessity, food. Your purchases of agricultural supplies do not go unnoticed. Agricultural and logistics databases quietly track significant buys of seeds, fertilizers, and farming implements. This isn't about monitoring backyard gardeners, it's about identifying individuals or groups who are developing the capacity to become parallel food producers. From the perspective of a government planning for a crisis, an independent food source is an uncontrolled variable. In a scenario involving widespread food shortages, they see your stockpile of seeds and your ability to grow food not as responsible planning for your family, but as a resource that can be managed, controlled, and if necessary, seized. The risk is clear. History is filled with examples of governments nationalizing agricultural assets during times of famine or extreme crisis. Your private food production capability could be deemed a critical public resource, and under emergency orders, your land, equipment, and harvests could be reappropriated for state-run distribution efforts. Your foresight becomes a tool for managing the unprepared populace, effectively nullifying your hard-won independence. For the prepper, however, the benefits are profound. The ability to grow your own food provides a resilient and renewable source of nutrition that insulates you from empty grocery store shelves, inflation, and civil unrest. It offers true security and power in a world where food can be used as a weapon or a tool of control. This capability can support not just your family but an entire community, making you a linchpin of stability. The trade-off is that you are building an asset that is as valuable to you as it is to a desperate government. You achieve food sovereignty, but you also become a target for control in the very crisis you prepared for. 10. Tangible wealth. Gold and silver. In a financial system built on digital entries and government-issued currency, tangible wealth represents a fundamental threat. Gold and silver are not just commodities, they are real money, a store of value that has outlasted every empire and fiat currency in history. It is this enduring power that places precious metals on the prepper blacklist. Owning a significant amount of physical gold or silver is an act of opting out of the centralized monetary system. It signals a lack of faith in digital dollars and a move toward financial sovereignty, which is something that authorities who control the money supply view with extreme prejudice. The primary issue is control. Modern economies run on fiat currency, which governments can create, devalue, or track at will. Precious metals operate completely outside of this system. They cannot be printed into existence or erased with a keystroke. This independence is a direct threat to monetary policy and financial surveillance. To counter this, governments have implemented strict regulations. Under anti-money laundering (AML) and Know Your Customer (KYC) laws, large transactions of precious metals must be reported to the authority. Your purchase of gold or silver bullion is not a private affair. It is a tracked data point that adds you to a list of individuals holding assets outside the digital banking grid. In an economic crisis, this makes you visible on the financial radar. History provides a chilling precedent. In 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Executive Order 6102, which forced American citizens to surrender their private gold holdings to the government. This act of mass confiscation demonstrates that when a government is desperate, private ownership of real money will not be tolerated. The risk for preppers is that history could repeat itself. In a future sovereign debt crisis or currency collapse, governments could impose strict capital controls, reportable asset thresholds, or even outright confiscation of precious metals to stabilize the economy. Their economy, not yours. For the prepared individual, the benefit of owning gold and silver is profound. It is a hedge against inflation, currency devaluation, and systemic financial collapse. It is portable, universally recognized wealth that requires no power grid or bank to be valid. In a world of digital uncertainty, it is real. The trade-off is that by securing this tangible wealth, you become a potential target during an economic reset. You are exchanging the risk of currency failure for the risk of government confiscation, betting that you can hold onto your assets when those in power come looking for them. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the prepper blacklist isn't just about gear. It's about control. Each of these items by itself seems harmless. A water filter, a few fuel drums, maybe some night vision goggles. None of these things scream danger, but together they paint a portrait of independence. A person who can function, survive, and even thrive without relying on the system. And that's exactly what makes you stand out. True preparedness challenges dependence. It says you're not waiting for someone to rescue you, feed you, or tell you what to do when disaster strikes. But in a world built on surveillance, centralization, and compliance, too much independence becomes suspicious. The system doesn't fear your tools, it fears your ability to use them without permission. That's why operational security OPSEC isn't optional. It's the final most important prep. Buy what you need, but do it quietly. Avoid showing, sharing, or discussing your gear online. Don't turn your preparations into proof of how ready you are. The more people who know what you have, the more vulnerable you become. Not just to authorities, but to anyone desperate when the system fails. Preparedness isn't about paranoia, it's about privacy. It's not just about what you own, but who knows you own it. In a world that rewards conformity, being invisible is power, so get what you need, learn what you must, and keep your circle small. Because when the lights go out and systems fail, those who stayed quiet will be the ones still standing. Stay hidden. Stay calm. Stay prepared.